Your heart is beating right now. You probably don't notice it until I bring your attention to it. But here's the strange thing. The rhythm of your heart, about 7 beats per second in its subtle oscillations, mirrors the frequency of Earth's magnetic field. Is that just biology keeping time with geology? Or could it be proof that you are not separate from the universe, but part of the same living oscillation? This is not just philosophy. Sensitive instruments in the hands of curious engineers and meditators revealed something shocking. The human body, in deep stillness, starts to vibrate in harmony with the very pulse of the planet. And in those moments, people report experiences of expansion, connection, and a kind of clarity that ordinary life drowns out. But let's pause. Why does this matter to you, sitting here, scrolling on a glowing screen? Because in the time it takes for you to glance at an image, about 3.5 seconds, algorithms already know what chemical surge your brain will release. They can predict your desires before you consciously form them. Technology has become the master of your oscillations. The question is, will you let external systems dictate your frequency? Or will you learn to tune yourself to something far deeper, something eternal? This is where our story begins, between science and spirituality, between the measured pulse of the heart and the unmeasured pulse of consciousness. We live in an age of constant stimulation. Every ping, every notification, every swipe has been designed to hook you into a loop of anticipation and reward. It feels like choice, but it's manipulation. The platforms know when your focus dips and exactly what kind of image will reel your back. On the surface, this might look harmless. Scrolling is just entertainment, right? But beneath it lies a more dangerous truth. If your attention is always pulled outward, you never reach the inner pause, the reversal point, the infinitesimal moment between one heartbeat and the next, where freedom lives. That tiny pause, too quick to notice, is the place where infinite possibilities exist before one collapses into reality. Miss that pause, and your life is just reaction. Find that pause, and you realize you are a co-creator of reality itself. This is the challenge we face, to reclaim our inner frequency in a world that profits from keeping us out of rhythm. Exploration, causes, and emotions. Think about how your body feels after a day of endless scrolling or multitasking. Restless, scattered, almost as if your mind has been split into dozens of tabs, none of them fully open. This is not accidental. Your nervous system has been trained to oscillate between microdoses of pleasure and anxiety. A new message, a new like, a new headline. Each one spikes dopamine and then quickly drains it. But let's look deeper. Beneath your chemical reactions lies the architecture of your whole being. Your body isn't just muscle and bone, it's a symphony of oscillations. Your brainwaves shift between beta, alpha, theta, and delta. Your heart sends electromagnetic pulses measurable meters beyond your body. Your very DNA coils and uncoils in rhythmic patterns, responding to emotional states in real time. When you are stressed, when you are trapped in loops of fear or desire, your oscillations fall into incoherence. The rhythms of heart, breath, and brain fall out of sync. You feel fragmented because you are fragmented. The coherence that should tie you together as one integrated field gets scattered like static. And here's where it gets emotional. We often mistake this fragmentation for weakness. I can't focus. I'm lazy. I'm broken. But you're not broken. You're simply vibrating according to patterns imposed on you. You've been tuned to a frequency that was never yours to begin with. The cause is not just modern technology. Ancient trauma, unprocessed fear, inherited beliefs. All of these create distortions in your field. Think of them as knots in the fabric of your oscillation. They bend the natural flow of your energy, keeping you locked in repeated cycles. That's why the same challenges return again and again, dressed in different forms. The real frustration is not just that life feels difficult, but that somewhere deep down you know it could be different. You've glimpsed moments of coherence, maybe in meditation, maybe in nature, maybe in a fleeting second of stillness before sleep, where everything felt aligned, as if your body, mind, and the universe were playing the same note. Those moments vanish quickly, but they leave behind a haunting memory of what's possible. So the emotional weight is double: the exhaustion of being manipulated by outside forces, and the ache of knowing you've lost touch with something deeper. The deeper truth: oscillation as the source code. Let's return to the heart for a moment. Every heartbeat is not just a pump, it is an oscillation. Between each beat, there is a pause, a silence. In that silence, your body is in suspension. And in that suspension, there is the potential for infinite realities. This may sound abstract, but physics confirms it. On the smallest scales, particles don't move in smooth lines. They oscillate. They pause, reverse, and collapse into specific positions only when observed. The universe itself behaves like a pendulum, expanding and contracting in cycles across billions of years. And here's the paradox. In those reversal moments, the normal rules break down, cause and effect lose their grip, possibilities multiply. You are not locked into one path. You are free. Mystics like Neville Goddard intuited this. He spoke of the I am not as a thought, but as the unchanging awareness that chooses among possibilities. To say I am is to tune into a frequency. I am healthy is not a hopeful wish. It's the conscious selection of a configuration already present in the infinite spectrum. Bentov, the engineer who studied oscillations of the body, mapped the mechanics of this. He showed that meditators could consciously modulate their inner oscillations to match the Earth's magnetic field, creating coherence that radiated outward. Instruments picked up actual electromagnetic shifts and photon emissions. Reality bent to the rhythm of consciousness. This is not metaphor. This is measurable. And it means your emotions, your focus, your attention are not private. They ripple outward, shaping probability itself. So how do you reclaim this truth in daily life? How do you stop being an unconscious oscillation played by external forces and start becoming the conductor of your own symphony? Start simple. Begin with the breath. The ancient practices weren't accidental, they were engineering. Try breathing slowly at a rhythm of 6 breaths per minute. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 7. Exhale for 8. This isn't just calming. It synchronizes your heart rhythm, your nervous system, and your brain waves into coherence. Instruments in laboratories confirm this. You're literally shifting your frequency. Next, pay attention to the moments between one thought and the next, between one heartbeat and the next, between inhalation and exhalation. That pause, however brief, is the doorway. Train yourself to notice it, and you begin to access the reversal point consciously. Finally, practice the I am not as words, but as feeling. Before sleep, when your rational mind loosens, bring into your body the felt sense of the state you desire. Not I wish to be, not I will be, simply I am. Let your body feel the naturalness of it until it stops being effort and becomes memory. These are not mystical tricks. They are ways of tuning your inner field so that it vibrates coherently. From there, reality begins to organize around you, not because you forced it, but because you became the frequency of the experience you wanted. The world will not stop trying to hijack your attention. Algorithms will keep flashing. Old patterns will keep pulling. But in the middle of the noise, you hold a hidden instrument, your own oscillation. You can train it, you can guide it. And when you do, you step into the role you were always meant to play. Not a passive consumer of reality, but a conscious participant in its creation. So tonight, when you lie down and feel the stillness before sleep, ask yourself gently, what frequency am I choosing? Am I simply reacting to what others have tuned me to? Or am I ready to select my own station in the infinite spectrum of the I Am? The choice is yours. And every breath, every heartbeat is another chance to choose. So far, we have discovered that your body is not just flesh and blood, but a living oscillation, a rhythm that can either be hijacked by outside forces or consciously tuned to the universal field. But now we must ask, why do most people fail to live from this truth? Why, if the ability to consciously shape reality exists within each of us, do we so often feel powerless, anxious, and trapped in repeating cycles? The answer lies not in a lack of potential, but in layers of disconnection between the body and the mind, between attention and awareness, between the natural oscillations of our being and the artificial rhythms imposed by modern life. The challenge of disconnection. Everywhere you look, systems are designed to pull you away from coherence. Think about the rhythm of your day. Your phone vibrates, your inbox fills, notifications demand attention, and your nervous system gets yanked into countless micro-reactions. You eat quickly, breathe shallowly, rush through tasks, and rarely stop to feel the pause between one heartbeat and the next. This isn't just distraction, it is disconnection. The natural rhythms of the body, slow, cyclical, coherent, are drowned out by the mechanical rhythms of the digital world. Your inner oscillations are tuned to frequencies of tension rather than harmony. Over time, this becomes your baseline. You forget what coherence feels like. Emotionally, this shows up as restlessness, as a subtle sense that something is always missing, as cycles of craving followed by dissatisfaction. It feels normal only because it is common. But deep down, you sense that this isn't the way life is meant to be lived. Why disconnection hurts so much? There's a reason this disconnection feels painful. Your very physiology is wired for coherence. The heart, the breath, and the brain are designed to move in synchronized patterns. When they fall out of sync, stress chemicals rise, the immune system weakens, and focus fractures. Your biology is telling you this is not how you're meant to live. Yet, because modern life normalizes fragmentation, most people interpret the pain incorrectly. They think they're failing. They label themselves lazy, unmotivated, or weak. But what's really happening is that their inner system has been hijacked by external oscillations. They're not broken, they're just tuned to the wrong station. And here's where the paradox deepens. Technology companies, advertisers, even political systems know how to play these frequencies better than most of us know how to live in our own skin. Algorithms are designed to keep you oscillating between hope and fear, between reward and anxiety, because those emotional cycles keep you consuming. They're exploiting the very principle that Bentov discovered in meditation. Your oscillations shape your reality. Only here, the reality being shaped is one of endless distraction and consumption. Bentov's map of the body as an oscillator. Let's step back into Bentov's laboratory for a moment. He built a platform suspended by cables, sensitive enough to detect the subtlest movements of the body. When meditators sat on this platform, the instruments detected a consistent phenomenon. The entire body began to oscillate at about 7 cycles per second. This was not random trembling. It was the cardiovascular system itself generating a standing wave that traveled along the spinal column. In other words, the body is a living pendulum, naturally attuned to the same frequency as the Earth's magnetic field. Now, pause here. If your body is designed to oscillate in harmony with the planet, what happens when you're constantly bombarded with artificial rhythms, dopamine loops, fast-cut media, relentless stress? You fall out of sync. You stop vibrating with the earth and start vibrating with machines. The cost is enormous. Coherence dissolves. Creativity dims. Relationships feel strained. Even health suffers because the body is no longer functioning as one synchronized field. Goddard's practice of the I Am. Decades before Bentov measured oscillations, Neville Goddard was teaching ordinary people how to consciously shift their state of being. His method sounded deceptively simple. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. To the untrained ear, this sounds like mere positive thinking, but Goddard meant something far deeper. He was pointing to the same principle Bentov later confirmed. Reality responds to the oscillations you hold in coherence. When you say, "I am healthy," and feel it with your whole body, you're not affirming, you're tuning. You're shifting the electromagnetic signature of your heart, your breath, and your nervous system into alignment with a frequency that already exists in the spectrum of possibilities. Goddard insisted that the key was naturalness. You can't force it. You can't grit your teeth and repeat words. The body must feel it as real, the way a memory feels real. That's when coherence happens. That's when your field changes. And here's the beauty. Bentov's measurements validated this. Magnetometers detected shifts in the field around meditators. Photomultipliers recorded actual photons when people visualized light. Random number generators in nearby rooms bent probability when practitioners entered coherent states. What Goddard taught through intuition, Bentov confirmed with instruments. Together, they mapped the mechanics of manifestation. Emotional impact, realizing you've been trapped. At this point, many people feel two emotions simultaneously, awe and grief. Awe because they realize that reality is not fixed, that we are more powerful than we've been led to believe. Grief because they see how much time has been lost, how many choices have been shaped not by their own coherence, but by external manipulation. Think about it. If your attention is stolen, your frequency is chosen for you. You scroll not because you want to, but because you've been tuned in to craving. You react not from freedom, but from programming. The grief comes when you recognize how long you've lived this way. But here's the turning point. Once you see the trap, you can no longer be fully trapped. Awareness itself begins to shift the frequency. The very act of noticing, "I am not broken, I am simply out of sync," starts to restore coherence. The role of the reversal point. Bentov spoke about the reversal point, the infinitesimal instant between oscillations where causality pauses. Goddard spoke about the hypnagogic state, the drowsy moment before sleep where imagination becomes indistinguishable from reality. Both were pointing to the same doorway. Why does this matter? Because in those moments, your oscillation is most malleable. The ordinary grip of logic loosens. The nervous system enters coherence more easily. The field becomes receptive to new frequencies. That's why so many traditions emphasize meditation, prayer, or breath work before sleep or upon waking. These are the natural reversal points of the day, moments when you can consciously choose your frequency before the external world rushes in. So, how can you begin to reclaim coherence in a fragmented world? First, slow your rhythms. Technology speeds you up, but your body longs for slowness. Practice simple breathing exercises. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out for just a few minutes each hour. This synchronizes your heart and breath, creating a baseline of coherence. Second, reclaim the reversal points. Before sleep tonight, instead of scrolling, close your eyes and bring into your body the feeling of the state you desire. Don't visualize it from the outside, live it from the inside. Let your body feel the naturalness of already being there. Third, notice the pauses in daily life. Between one task and the next. Between one conversation and the next. These pauses are not empty, they are the gateways to choice. Instead of rushing through them, linger. Let yourself feel the infinite possibilities contained in that silence. And finally, protect your attention. Become aware of how often you're being pulled into artificial oscillations. When you feel the urge to scroll endlessly, pause and ask, "Is this my frequency or one chosen for me? That single question can begin to break the cycle. You are not a broken machine in need of fixing. You are a conscious oscillator designed to vibrate in harmony with the cosmos. Disconnection is painful not because you are weak, but because you are meant for coherence. Bentov gave us the map of the body as a living pendulum. Goddard gave us the practice of tuning through feeling. Together, they remind us that reality is not discovered, it is chosen. So as you go about your day, ask yourself, am I vibrating to the rhythm of external manipulation? Or am I ready to tune in to the deeper frequency of the I am? Every heartbeat is another chance to choose. Every pause is another doorway to freedom. Stand still for a moment. Feel your breath rise and fall. Notice the faint pulse in your chest and the easy sway of your body as balance makes tiny corrections. If you pay close attention, you'll sense a quiet order underneath everything, a steady rhythm holding you together. That order isn't just inside you, it's everywhere. Some thinkers describe the universe as a torus, a cosmic loop where energy flows out, circles around, and returns through a central axis, like a donut made of motion. At first, that sounds abstract, but bring it close, your life also loops. Thoughts circle back, moods cycle, habits return. The question is never, do cycles exist? The question is, which cycle am I feeding? We've talked about how algorithms tug you into loops that keep you restless, and how breath, feeling, and attention can bring you back to coherence. Now we're going to place your daily life inside a bigger pattern, call it the living torus, and learn how to move with it on purpose. The main challenge reframed. People try to change by forcing single actions, a new morning routine, a gym schedule, a mantra at bedtime. Sometimes it works for a week. Then stress returns, sleep breaks, messages pile up, and the old loops swallow the new habit. This isn't a personal failure, it's a mismatch of scale. You're attempting to steer a river with a teaspoon. The toroidal model gives a better way. Life moves in cycles, outward expression and inward return. When you skip the return, when you never pause, never reset, never touch the still center, expression turns into noise. You talk more but say less. You plan more but finish less. You consume more but feel less satisfied. The remedy isn't to push harder, it's to restore the loop. Outflow, return. Outflow, return. That return is not isolation or escape. It's the organized pause where your whole system comes back into phase. The pulse of the heart steadies. The breath deepens. Brain activity softens into rhythms that allow integration. From there, outward action becomes clean and intentional. The holographic hint. A hologram is a pattern where each piece somehow contains the whole. You can break a holographic plate into fragments, and each fragment still holds the entire image at lower resolution. Many traditions have said a similar thing about consciousness. Each person is both a single viewpoint and a window into something vast. If this is true, then changing your inner pattern isn't small. It echoes. Not in a dramatic world changes instantly way, but in thousands of modest shifts. Conversations that soften, decisions that align, opportunities that appear because you finally notice them. When your inner field moves from static to order, you notice paths that were invisible under the noise. This isn't mysticism as escape. It's practical, coherent inner rhythms sharpen perception. When attention is steady, you hear what others truly mean. You spot timing. You feel when to wait and when to move. Daily life becomes less like pushing a boulder uphill and more like catching a wind at the right moment. Causes and emotions. Why we fall out of the loop. Why do we lose the return phase? 3 common reasons. First, speed addiction. The nervous system becomes used to fast stimuli. Slow states feel boring at first, even threatening, because silence brings up unprocessed feelings. So you keep scrolling to avoid what might surface if you stop. Second, identity built on effort. If your sense of worth comes from constant doing, pausing feels like failure. You push harder, chasing an inner gold star that never arrives. Third, inherited patterns. Families pass down rhythms, how people speak, how conflict rises and resolves, how rest is treated. If you grew up in a field that equated stillness with laziness, your body may reject quiet even when your mind wants it. The emotions here are tender. People feel ashamed that they can't just be disciplined. They feel afraid of what rest might reveal. They feel lonely when they slow down because fewer people live at that pace. If that's you, let the shame go. Your system is doing what it learned to do. You're not trying to be better, you're choosing a different timing. Bringing Bentov and Goddard together, the working model. Let's assemble a simple working model drawn from both worlds. The body is an oscillator. Heart rhythm, breath rhythm, brain rhythm, fluid pulses in the spine. These can synchronize into order or split into static. Feeling shapes the field. Not words alone, but the full body quality of a state. Calm, gratitude, quiet confidence changes the pattern your system broadcasts. The pause is the entry point. Between exhale and inhale, between one heartbeat and the next, between thought and thought, there is a brief stillness. That stillness is the opening where patterns can shift. Selection happens from the inside. When you take on a state as natural, I am the person who already lives this way, the outer loop adjusts. You're not pulling strings, you're setting the tone. Life responds to tone. With this model, your day is no longer a series of battles. It's a musical piece with measures and rests. You learn to keep time. Practical steps. A day designed as a toroidal loop. Let's translate this into a full day you can actually live. Not perfection, a humane rhythm that fits real life. Morning. Establish the center. Before you reach for your phone, sit up in bed. Place a hand on your chest and one on your belly. Breathe at a steady pace, in through the nose, out through the mouth, roughly 6 full breaths per minute. Count if you like, but keep it gentle. After 2 minutes, shift your attention to a simple feeling that you can authentically hold. Quiet gratitude for a small thing, relief from last night's rest, or a calm readiness for the day. Let that feeling soak your body until it stops feeling like a performance and starts feeling ordinary. Then speak a short I am sentence once or twice, not as a chant, but as a cue. I am steady. I am clear. That sets the tone. Mid-morning, micro returns. Choose 2 points in your first working block where you pause for 60 seconds. Stand, roll your shoulders, breathe slowly, and soften your gaze. Name what you're actually doing next in one plain sentence. I am writing the email to Maya. Then do only that. These micro returns prevent your field from fracturing into 5 tasks at once. Midday, reset the loop. If possible, step outside for 5 minutes. Natural light and a wider horizon recalibrate the visual system and nervous system. While walking, sync breath to steps for a short stretch. 4 steps in, 1 step pause, 6 steps out, 1 step pause. You're teaching the body that pauses are safe. Afternoon, the focus swell. Pick one 90-minute window for deep work. Before it starts, do 30 seconds of slow breathing. Then bring in a feeling that matches the outcome you want. Settled confidence if you're writing, playful curiosity if you're designing, patient care if you're solving a thorny problem. Hold it lightly and begin. If you get pulled off by pings, finish your current sentence or action, then return to breath and feeling rather than scolding yourself. The return is the method, not punishment. Evening, harvest, and soften. Before dinner, jot 3 brief notes. 1 thing you completed, 1 thing you learned, 1 clue about timing. For example, my best thinking happens before noon, or calls drain me after 5 p.m. This is not a productivity list, it's pattern reading. You're learning your personal loop. Night, the reversal point. The last 10 minutes before sleep are gold. Keep them clean. No feeds, no news. Lie down, breathe slowly, and let your body soften from the face down to the feet. Bring up a simple scene that represents your chosen state as if it is already a normal part of your life. Sitting at your desk in a calm room with your work done on time, or sharing a quiet meal with someone you love, or finishing a workout with steady energy. Don't watch yourself from the outside. Be inside the scene. Feel the texture of it, the weight of the chair, the warmth of the light, the softness in your jaw. When the scene feels ordinary and unforced, let it fade and drift into sleep. This day is not a rule book. It's a musical score with rests built in. Miss a note? Fine. The next bar is coming. Hold the shape. Keep the loop. Troubleshooting. When coherence won't stick. What if you try and still feel scattered? A few gentle fixes. Your breathing is too forceful. Ease off. The point is steadiness, not performance. Soft breath, soft jaw, soft belly. Your scene feels fake. Shrink it. Pick a slice of the bigger state you can accept today. Instead of "I am wealthy," try "I am relaxed while paying a bill." The body accepts believable signals first. Old emotions surface. That's normal. The system is clearing static. Instead of analyzing, let sensations complete a cycle. Breath, feel, until they settle on their own. You forget to pause. Set 2 tiny cues in your environment. A sticky dot on your screen, a chime at the hour. When you see or hear them, take 1 slow exhale. That's enough to re-enter the loop. You're not chasing a perfect state. You're keeping time well enough that order gradually becomes your baseline. Relationships, fields in conversation. Your field meets other fields all day long. That's why some rooms calm you while others drain you. You can't control every environment, but you can bring a steady signal that shapes the tone. Before a hard conversation, pause for 40 seconds. Breathe slowly. Choose a feeling that fits the aim: respect, honesty, care, and let your chest soften. Go in with short sentences, relaxed shoulders, and a slower pace of speech. People hear the body first and the words second. When your rhythm is orderly, it invites order around you. After conflict, don't replay the story endlessly. Restore the loop: breath, a short walk, water on your face, a few minutes of hands-on-heart quiet. The goal isn't to win the argument in your head. It's to return your system to coherence so you can see the next right action clearly. Work and creativity, writing the outflow. Once the return is steady, your outward flow sharpens. Creative work especially loves cycles: gathering, gestation, expression, rest. Force skips the middle two and produces work that looks right but feels hollow. Coherence keeps the middle alive. Try this simple cadence for any meaningful project. Day 1. Gather and sketch without pressure. Day 2. Let it sit while you do something else. Keep a notepad nearby for small sparks. Day 3. Shape and ship one concrete piece. Day 4. Rest the project, even briefly, and review with fresh eyes. It's not magic, it's timing. You're using the loop instead of fighting it. Health. Turning states into biology. When people hold steady order for weeks, they often report side effects they didn't expect. Better sleep, fewer headaches, more even digestion, lower resting heart rates. None of this requires superstition. Coherence changes which networks are dominant in the brain. It improves variability in the heart rhythm. It reduces unnecessary muscular tension. The body moves resources from constant threat response back to repair and growth. Health feels less like a battle and more like a natural rebalancing. If you track numbers, keep it simple. 2 decent signs of progress: you fall asleep faster, and you return to calm more quickly after stress. That's your loop getting stronger. Meaning, choosing a station you can live with. People often ask, what should I choose as my I am? Here's a quiet test. Pick a state that you would still be proud to hold if no one ever noticed. If the choice only makes sense as a performance, it will collapse. If the choice makes sense in a room with no audience, steady, kind, honest, brave, your system can carry it without strain. Your life will take the shape of that tone. Meaning, in this framing, isn't an abstract mission statement. It's the feeling you lay down each morning that colors the whole day. Hold it long enough, and your environment starts reflecting it back. Not because the universe owes you anything, but because you stopped scattering your signal. Take one breath right now. Slow, quiet. Notice the pause at the end of the exhale. That tiny stillness is a doorway you carry everywhere. Walk through it often, and your days change shape. You speak less from tension and more from clarity. You choose actions that match your tone. You stop chasing a distant future and begin living a present that fits you. This is the simple truth running through everything we've covered. You are not a spectator in a fixed world. You are a rhythmic being in a rhythmic cosmos. When you keep the loop, outflow and return, life meets you with a different face. Not because you forced outcomes, but because you kept time with what is real in you. Tonight, before sleep, lie quietly and let your body settle. Breathe at a gentle pace. Bring up the feeling of a life that already holds the state you've chosen. Let it be ordinary. Let it be enough. Then let it carry you into rest. You already have the instrument. You already know the song. Now keep time. Question to close. Tomorrow morning, when the first urge to reach for your phone arrives, will you give yourself 60 seconds to return to the center and choose your station before the world chooses for you?